All right, let's jump right in. If you're new to Python, you've probably asked yourself, okay, what tool should I actually be using to write my code? And, it's a much bigger question than it seems on the surface. So today, we're going to break down what integrated development environments, or IDEs, are all about, and map out a really clear strategy for how and when you should start using them.
So, full disclosure right up front. This explainer was put together with a little help from AI. And honestly, it's a perfect example of what we're talking about today, right? It's about using powerful tools to get the job done right without letting them do all the thinking for you. Okay, with that out of the way, let's really get into it.
So, first things first, what even is an IDE? Well, think of it as your all-in-one command center for coding. It's a single piece of software that packs everything a developer needs into one place. We're talking a code editor, tools to run your code, and a debugger, all bundled together in one neat package.
To really nail this down, let's use an analogy. Imagine a simple text editor. It's like a basic workbench. You've got a notepad, a pen. Yeah, you can build something, but it's going to be slow and it's all on you. But an IDE? That's a whole different ballgame. It's like a state-of-the-art workshop. You've got power tools, diagnostic gear, everything's perfectly organized. It's all right there, your fingertips.
Now, for a pro, that high-tech workshop is a no-brainer. It's how they get work done fast. But what about for a beginner? And this is the real heart of our conversation today. Is that amazing workshop a helpful leg up, a scaffold that helps you learn faster? Or is it just overwhelming? So much overkill that it actually ends up hurting your progress more than it helps?
Okay, let's tackle that first perspective. We'll call it the overkill argument. This is the case for why maybe, just maybe, diving headfirst into a big fancy IDE isn't the best move when you're just starting out.
So why could it be harmful? Well, a few big reasons. First up is just plain cognitive overload. Come on, learning Python is already a brain bender, right? Throwing a super complex tool on top of that, it's a lot to handle. Then there's the fact that IDEs can hide the messy details, the how. They make things so easy that you never actually learn fundamental skills like using the command line or installing packages with pip. And then, and this is a huge one, there's the risk of automation becoming a crutch. We'll get to that in a sec. Oh, and let's not forget, these things can be resource hogs, making your computer crawl, which is just frustrating.
And this right here, this is the absolute core of the overkill argument. If the IDE is constantly finishing your sentences for you, you never build that crucial muscle memory. The kind you get from typing the code out, character by character. You might understand the concept, sure, but when you're faced with a blank file, say in a coding interview, and you don't have your autocomplete safety net, that's a really tough spot to be in. All right, but that's only one side of the coin. There's a really strong counter-argument, and we call this the scaffolding argument. The idea here is that a good IDE can actually provide the support, the scaffolding, that makes learning smoother and, frankly, a lot less painful. Let's dig into that.
So how does it help? For starters, you get instant feedback. You know those little red squiggly lines that pop up when you make a typo? That's like having a silent tutor sitting over your shoulder, catching mistakes right away. And that code completion we just talked about, it's not just a crutch. It can be a guide helping you discover what you can do with your code. Plus, having everything in one app, editor, terminal, everything just cuts down on so much initial setup hassle. But the real game changer, the integrated debugger.
And I really want to pause on this, because this is the single most powerful reason to use an IDE. Learning to use a real visual debugger is a monumental leap in your journey as a developer. Seriously. It takes you from just sticking print statements everywhere and guessing what's happening, to actually stepping through your code, line by line, and seeing what it's doing. It is the difference between fumbling in the dark and turning on the lights. Okay, so we've got two very different, very valid arguments, right? Overkill versus scaffolding. So what's the answer? Well, the resolution here isn't about picking one over the other. It's about combining them into a smart roadmap. The idea is to build your foundation the hard way first, and then bring in the power tools when they'll actually help you, not confuse you. So what does this roadmap actually look like in practice? Let's break it down. For your first month, we're talking phase 1, the basics. Stick with something dead simple, like IDLE or Thonny. Your entire focus should be on writing code, running it from the command line by hand, and using print to figure out what's going on. Then, for months 2 and 3, you graduate to phase 2, the intelligent editor. Think VS Code with the Python extension. Now you can start using things like real-time error checking, that's called linting, and the built-in terminal.
But remember, use that code completion as a guide, not a crutch. Finally, by months 4 to 6, you're ready for Phase 3, the power tools. This is where you go all in with a full IDE like PyCharm. Your goal here is to master that debugger, learn how to manage virtual environments, and use tools that help you clean up your code safely.
See the pattern here? The whole point of this gradual approach is to turn the IDE from something that could hold you back, a crutch, into a tool that makes you incredibly productive. It's about building up your core skills methodically so that you are in control of the tool, not the other way around.
So, if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. The best developers build an absolutely unshakable foundation. They do that by mastering the fundamentals manually first, running code from the terminal, managing packages, typing things out. Then, and only then, do they pick up the power tools of an IDE to take their productivity to a whole new level.
At the end of the day, your tools really do shape how you think. They influence how you solve problems. What we've laid out here is a framework for choosing and adopting those tools thoughtfully. So the only real question left is, what are you going to go build first?